Hey everybody, happy Halloween. Hello, hello. How you doing tonight? Good to see you here. Thank you for showing up for their special Halloween stream, and it's a birthday celebration for myself and Mulder. Not really sure when his birthday is. He was a rescue, and so I just made his birthday the same as mine, so that way we can celebrate him together. First and foremost, I want to say hello and I love you to my beautiful wife Nicole, who's modding in the chat, lurking and listening. And had a great day today. Best birthday I've ever had. We went out of town, got coffee, did some shopping. Um, got me this wonderful winter coat here. It's 41 degrees here in my part of New England. Last time I looked, it may be colder than that now. It's supposed to get down in the 30s overnight. There was a frost this morning, little frost on the old pumpkins. Let's see who we've got here tonight. Let me know if you can hear me okay there in the chat. I've been moving my stuff around. Had a hard drive issue last night and prevented me from going over and joining Cisco for her show. I'm sad to have missed that. And I managed to get that video last night, the Halloween disappearances video. Got that out about 5 minutes, I think, before it premiered, but made it. And now here we are. Let's see. Sweetly Morbid Bear, she was here at 1 o'clock this afternoon wishing me happy birthday. Some of these people probably came and left already. Pam Smith, good to see you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Our own Catheta Cat Gray. Thank you, Catheta. And Ellen DiNucci, thank you for becoming a channel member. We appreciate that. Anthony Lively. Fast Hemi. How you doing, Danny, if you're still here? Good to see you. Dogface, my favorite Kiwi that's not a Kiwi. Thanks for the birthday wishes, bud. Audacity says happy birthday. Lulu Bell. And yeah, like it is Mulder's birthday too, as I explained there. Not sure when is it. He's been with me. He's going on 8 years now, and he was about a year old, they thought, when I got him. So he's getting on up there, just like me. I get older, I'm getting better. I just keep telling myself that. Sage Cooley, how are you doing? Sip of dunks there. Daniel Belcher, another New Englander. How you doing? Steph Williams was here. Mark Longoria, thank you for the birthday wishes and for Boulder. I was going to get him up here. I may later. He's over here asleep. He was snoring earlier. He's got we got married. Our wedding registry. Somebody bought him a dog bed, and he's over here on that, asleep on the floor and snoring gently. You may be able to hear him. If he wakes up, I'll put him on camera. Euphemia Manzer, how you doing? Tickled Pink, 85. Good to see you. Baron von Braincrumbs, happy Halloween. That's a good Halloween name there. Vixen Doe, another New Englander. How you doing, Vixen? Courtney Hammett, happy birthday and happy Halloween. Debbie Little, happy Halloween to all. Dimensional Horse, how you doing tonight? Thank you for the birthday wishes. Ted Branston, Father Ted in the house. Hope you and the Waggy Tails are. Hope you had a good Halloween there in Scotland. It's midnight, just after midnight in the UK. Their time changed. Joanne Yoda Girl, thank you for the birthday wishes. You know you're one of Nicole's favorite people. Stephanie Blankenship, happy Halloween and happy birthday. Night Owl, thank you. Glenn Dannison, Stephanie O'Connell, Stacy Hayworth, I hope I'm saying that right, Hallworth. Tattooed Biker, hey buddy, how you doing? Thanks for coming by and wishing us happy birthday. The eccentric J-Mo, happy birthday, Halloween birthday to Talia Elise. Can't forget about Pooh Bear. Thanks. Tell Pooh Bear I said hi, and thanks for the birthday wishes. Lake Superior girl. Thanks for being here. Oh gosh, I hate to hear about that. Missing college student found in the Mississippi River. Anna Separek. Hope I'm saying that right. Oh, it's your husband Jim's birthday. Well, happy Halloween birthday, Jim. And thank you for the wishes, Anna. Ma Dukes. Hey there. How you doing? RP Skaza. Hey there. Chris Van Pool. How you doing? Wanted to thank you for ordering books and becoming a subscriber to my blog. Sent out a post today about the origins and history of Halloween. Hope you all enjoy that. I'll drop a link here shortly if you'd like to subscribe to my blog. In fact, now you can do the free version, or there is a paid version. You get some perks and extras and things. Less than a cheap cup of coffee. You can get everything on my blog. I'm going to be doing some audio posts, and I can even do video on there if I want to. But the blog post, the written stuff will always be free. So you can enjoy that. Tell you what, the next, ever how many people sign up tonight to become a paid member of the blog, I'll give you a set of ebooks of all my books that I have available in ebook format. Some of the newer ones I don't have the ebooks for them yet. Let me find a link to my blog here. It's called Around the Campfire, and it's on Substack. Here's the link right here. And if you sign up for any of those paid tiers, I'll give you a set of free ebooks for today, till tomorrow. And also, if you want signed copies of my books in paperback, grab them here. I sell these through my Etsy shop, and right now I'm doing a Halloween/birthday sale. It's my birthday, but I'm giving something to you. You can get these books for less than you can buy them on Amazon. Plus, they're signed and personalized, and they come directly from me. Ask Chris Van Pool. She got a whole set of them. But Strange Things in the Woods, My Strange World, and National Park Mysteries and Disappearances, Volume 1, The Great Smoky Mountains National Park. You can get those all signed on Etsy. Now, Volume 2 and 3 of National Park Mysteries and Disappearances, those are being updated with some new material. So I don't have any copies of those right now. Hope to have them before Christmas. Let me just drop that link too, as long as I'm doing some housekeeping here. There you go. And that Halloween/birthday sale is through tomorrow. I think it ends tomorrow. Scott's Live, how you doing? Did I say hi to you? I think so. I did again. Mountain Man, thank you for saying happy birthday to Mulder and I. Sarah Jane, thank you. Hey, there's Cisco. Thanks for wishing me a happy birthday. Cisco, I sent you a link if you want to pop on the show. I don't know what you've got going on over there right now, but I'm sorry I had to miss last night. I've got the culprit right here. It's making a clicking noise and literally my life was on this drive. Everything for the channel. Now I've been able to save a lot of stuff that I had up in the cloud, but this is a brick or a doorstop now. In fact, if anybody out there has got an external hard drive you're not using and you loan it to me for a little while till I can get everything, it may just be the controller card in this one. I'm going to tear into it and say, I used to work in tech support years and years ago, another lifetime ago. But if anybody's got an external hard drive, this was a 10 terabyte, but I could get by with 2 or 3 or even 5. But if you've got an external hard drive I could borrow for a few weeks, let me know. It would really help me out of the lurch here because I'm able to limp along, but just barely. Valerie G, email me, stevestockton81@gmail.com, and we'll arrange it if you have one I can borrow. Thank you. Thank you, Valerie G. Tattooed Biker Unexplained. I think I already said hi to you. I forget. I'm getting old. I already said hi to Audacity, but hello again. Thank you for saying happy birthday to me and Mulder. Matthew Schmidt from Michigan, snowing in Michigan on Halloween. How about that? They were originally predicting a wintry mix here in New England, but didn't make it so far. Probably get some snow next week, looking like. Who else we have here? Holly Hunt, Trick or Treat. Scott Davis, how you doing? Happy birthday from Delaware. Now, Scott, you didn't happen to go to school in East Tennessee, high school, did you? I went to school with a guy named Scott Davis. He wasn't from Delaware, but he could have vacated or moved to Delaware. Anyway, let's see here. Carolina Brown, Michigan, another Michigan in the house. Michigander, is that what you call yourselves? Love those rocks from up there, the Petoskey Stones. It's a state rock. I used to have some that I found when I was in Michigan as a small child. I went up there to visit my uncle. The Sober Carper, good evening. Happy Halloween, sir. Good to see you. Martin Rascon, New Mexico. Thank you. Loving it here in New England. This is a favorite place that I've ever spent fall. Olivia Arias, thank you. Happy birthday to me and happy Halloween to all of you out there. Jeremy. Favorite costume? I'm wearing it. Now, actually, when I was a kid, I had a Superman costume. Now, it wasn't like one that you bought at Woolworths. A friend of my mom's was a seamstress, and she actually sewed me a little Superman costume. And that year, it was cold in East Tennessee on Halloween, and I had to wear a coat. And I argued with my mom, but Mom, Superman doesn't wear a coat. And she said, Superman also doesn't get sick. If you're going to go trick-or-treating, you have to wear a coat. So that year I had this lovely handmade Superman costume, and I had to wear a coat over it. Such is life. Chris, thank you for the goodwill, good, kind words there about the blog. Lizbeth, thank you. Gory Tiger, how you doing? Let's see. Gray Wolf, Paranormal Lindsay, hey, how you doing tonight? Jima Gawana, thank you. I hope you have a happy Halloween as well. Lana Campbell Moore, how you doing? I think you're in the UK, is that correct? Happy Halloween. Martin Raskai, thank you for the birthday wishes. I think I already said hi to you once. Kathy Evans, hi, how you doing? 55 of you in here joining me on this spooky Halloween. I'm going to be telling some stories here shortly, just getting some housekeeping out of the way. Corey Seals, thanks for the birthday wishes, sir. Let's see. Sasha Bell, how you doing? Hope things are going well in Texas. Did you finally get some fall weather down there? I think around the start of October, it was still 90 degrees there in Texas. We had a late Indian summer, if you want to call it that. Just a few days ago, it was 77 degrees here, and then the next day it was in the 40s, 30s, and 40s. She's here, Joanne. She's holding down the couch and lurking and modding in the chat. So she's not a camera person like I am. She likes being behind the camera. She's the most fantastic writer that I've ever worked with. No one else's words that I'd rather put in my mouth than the lovely Nicole. Thank you for that. Corey, vote of confidence there. Now, did anybody catch my radio show Sunday night? Had Downtown Terry Brown on there as my guest. That's also the name of his channel, the @ name here on YouTube, @Downtown Terry Brown. The channel is Tales of the Sonic Voyage. And he came on and told true ghost stories and some of his experiences and things. 2 hours passes quick when you have a good time like that. But go check that out if you get a chance. It's on Clyde Lewis's Ground Zero Radio Network. Airs every Sunday night from 9 to 11 Eastern Time. And then you can go back and watch it. I know it's on Amazon, but the latest episode's not up there. I think it takes about a week for it to go to the other places. But if you want to hear it live, go to the Ground Zero Radio Network, and you can hear it over there. And if you're not near Wi-Fi, there's also a number you can call. You can call in on the phone and listen to the show on your phone. It explains all that on Clyde's website. But hats off to Clyde Lewis and Ron Patton for blessing me with a radio show over there. Lifelong dream to have a radio show. Oh, what's that? Blissful essence? AI can find a way to exactly duplicate what was. Yeah, as long as they wait till after I'm gone to do it, I'd be okay with that. Otherwise, it might put me out of work. Somebody commented the other day that I needed to adjust something in the AI that I'm doing my voice with. Buddy, this ain't AI. This is as real as it gets. Guarantee you, this is an AI. Oh, Colleen C., thank you for the birthday wishes and happy Halloween to you and yours as well. 45 in Steph Williams, part of Texas. Sarah Claire, thank you for the birthday wishes. You wished me happy birthday on Facebook too, I think. Had hundreds, I know it's over 100 people wish me happy birthday on Facebook today. I haven't answered everybody yet or thanked everybody yet. I'll probably just do a blanket post and thank everybody for all the birthday wishes. But thank you. It's best birthday I've ever had, and that's due to Nicole and being a newlywed, being married, and everything. She's the piece of the puzzle that was always missing for me. She makes me complete. And looks like I am finally caught up. So glad you joined us here with me tonight on this cool and spooky Halloween here in New England. Um, who wants to hear some stories? I'd asked for listener stories. I only got a couple, and I've got another story I'm going to read. It's the first story I ever narrated at my Halloween birthday party around a campfire when I was 10 years old. That's coming up later. Corey Seals, I am 60 years young. 60 trips around the sun. And hopefully now that I have a young, beautiful wife, Nicole's 22 years, my junior, hopefully I can get at least another 60 in there. David Guzman. Well, thank you, sir. Hello from New England to South Texas there. And Jamie Robinson, happy Samhain and Halloween from Astoria, Oregon, my old stomping grounds. I didn't spend a lot of time in Astoria, but I've been up there. I lived in Portland for several years and then lived just outside Portland in a little town called St. Helens, Oregon, which is Halloween town. They had celebrate all October up there. If you ever seen those Disney movies, that's where those were filmed. And Marnie, I think she was a character from the film. She's usually the Grand Marshal of the Halloween parade that they have there. Stephanie Kochenash? Oh, another New Englander. Thank you for joining us. Okay, let me get into a story here. I'm going to give you a little spooky atmosphere and take my ugly mug off the camera. This is a listener story that was sent in to me. I put out a call for listener stories, and I'd like to do more of this in the future. If you have a story you'd like to hear me narrate, send them in. I'd like to do that as a regular feature. And just make sure it's a true story. Hey, Go Navy, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, here we go. I'm gonna share a story with you here that was shared with me. Okay, the reader writes, he puts his name in here, but I don't know if he wanted me to give his name or not, so I just won't say his name. Hi, Steve. My name is Anonymous. I heard you request viewer stories for Halloween reading. I wanted to send you one. I hope it's not too long with all the context. When I was 10 years old, my 7-year-old sister and I had a bunk bed in our room. My 12-year-old brother had his own bedroom. We grew up in rural, tribal Alaska. At its biggest, our village had maybe 150 people, and most homes to this day do not have running water. There are no highways, and you can only reach my hometown by plane or boat. When we were smaller, our brother would have sleepovers with us in the bunk bedroom, as we called it. Back before the novelty wore off, and before he was too cool to hang out with his siblings. By the time of my story, It'd been a couple of years since then. One night, my almost teenage older brother adamantly wanted to sleep on the top bunk, and my sister and I let him. At first, he didn't want to tell us why he felt like sleeping in our room, but we were glad to have him in there just like the old times. After a while of talking about whatever kids talk about, my brother asked us if we ever heard the scratching outside the walls. He started to cry, telling us that something had been doing it for several nights in his bedroom. It was frankly frightening to hear him be so upset because our brother didn't spook easily. We were scared. Our house was built with about a 3 foot tall crawl space underneath that was boarded up all around, so our bedroom windows were a good 6 feet high at the sill from the ground outside. My brother said the scratching seemed like it was coming from up near the top of the window. He eventually calmed down, and we all went to sleep uneasily. The next night, he asked to sleep on the top bunk again. This time, from our huddled up spot on the bottom bunk, my sister and I could hear the scratching. It's like whatever it is outside figured out our brother wasn't in his room and followed him to the adjacent window. It was slow and deliberate, not at all like a small animal burrowing or making a nest. We didn't know of any animals that wait to make a nest at night either. It was late in the year, probably November, because it got dark out early in my memory. So even if we weren't brave enough to look outside while it was happening, we could only see pitch black. None of us regularly went out behind the house where our bedroom windows faced because the path was narrow and slippery at that time of year. Our house was on a raised lot, so it was a tumble if you lost your footing. When we went out there in the daytime, we could see what looked like nail marks in the weathered paint. The long scratches were in groups of 5, like a hand, and at least 10 feet up the wall. We could see where they were most concentrated by his window, but could also see where the marks eventually moved over toward the other room. I don't remember too much after that, just that it eventually stopped. I do know our mom, a religious woman, had the traveling priest bless our home the next time he came through. I don't know nowadays if I believe like she does, but it was a comfort back then. The next summer, the outside walls of our childhood house were replaced and repainted, so the scratch marks are no longer there. Now it's only in our memories and a scary story to tell our friends. Have a good spooky season, Steve. Thanks for all that you do. Signed, Anonymous. And there's a little story for you sent by, I don't want to say the gentleman's name because he didn't say, some people will say, don't say my name or say, call me this name. So I don't want to dox anybody that doesn't want to be doxed. But thank you for that story. You know who you are. Hope you're watching and listening tonight. Hey, Olivia Taylor. Happy Halloween to you there in Oklahoma. Yeah, if I missed anybody else, here's this Raman Butterbeard the First. Happy Samhain from a Celt in Wales, UK. Great birthday to you. You have a great night as well. Tattooed Biker, please do. I'd like to have you on the show sometime too. I'd like to have you on my radio show. Come on, tell some spooky stories. Thanks, Pammy. I saw where you'd wish me happy birthday much earlier in the day. Glad you came back. Dan Klein, happy birthday. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Prism Pixie, trick or treat. We didn't have any trick or treaters here where we're at. Melanie Deisenroth, happy Halloween and thank you for the birthday wishes. Hey, Smoky Mountain Wonder. I bet it is getting cold down there in those old Tennessee hills. Well, North Carolina too. Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina. It's been a lot of chilly nights in the Smokies. But I'm telling you what, I love it here in New England. Better than any place I've ever been. So again, thank you all for joining me here tonight, spending some time on this Halloween and my birthday and Mulder's birthday. Haven't, let's see. He's still snoozing over there. If he wakes up, I will put him on camera and have him say hi to everybody. All right. Now, I'd sent out some invitations to people. I don't know if anybody else will show up or not, but I invited half dozen or people or so, half dozen or so, to pop in and tell a story if they wanted to. So far, no takers, but that's okay. We'll hang out here for a little while. Carmine, yeah, that's a ancient history over there. I'm enjoying my autonomy. Nicole and I are the team. We do everything in house and much happier that way, and love what I'm doing here. All right, you want to have another story here? You want to chat a little bit more? How about some Halloween mischief? Did any of you ever get into mischief on Halloween? I've got some stories I could tell, but I don't know if the statute of limitations is ran or not. It wasn't really anything that bad. That just makes it sound more ominous than it actually was. Um, we did the usual, the soap on the windows and toilet paper in the trees and little tricks with shaving cream and toothpaste and occasionally some eggs. We don't talk about that. I don't want to give anybody any ideas. I'm just telling you what I did. I'm not recommending that you do it. Probably the best prank ever pulled on Halloween and one of the most dangerous. And I got the idea out of a Donald Duck comic book of all things. He had those three little nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and they were always getting into trouble. And this was something they did one time, and I thought it was a good idea. So be careful what kind of ideas you get out of comic books when you're 8, 9 years old. But the rural road that I lived on, grew up in rural East Tennessee, lived out in the country. The road dead ended into the lake. It used to dead end into the river till the Tennessee Valley Authority dammed up the Clinch River and made Melton Hill Lake. But that road where it dead ended into the lake, that was a notorious party spot back in the 60s and 70s. A lot of high schoolers, people with cars. Occasionally you would see people walking in there. Anybody that could get a ride, they go hang out down there on the edge of the lake and build bonfires, and especially on the weekends and nights like this, hoop and holler all night. But there was a really kind of a sharp curve there in the road, kind of one of those curves with a high side on it. And I enlisted one of my friends and I who helped me with some of my Halloween mischief. And we got some spray paint and spray painted an approximation of a hole in the road, just a big black spot that took up probably about 9/10 of the road. It was not really a 2-lane road. You could pass somebody on it if you had to, but it wasn't. There wasn't any painted lines on it. As every person for themselves out there. So it was a narrow country road out in a rural area. And on this curve, we painted this big black spot that took up most of the road. And with that same can of spray paint, we got a piece of plywood and painted "Danger Hole" on it, put that on a tobacco stick. Anybody here ever help stick tobacco in the field? Tobacco plants, after they get up so high, you have to put a stick in the ground and time to that so they don't, the weight of their own plant doesn't pull them over. But there's always those tobacco sticks around over at my grandmother's farm. So we fought with them, made swords out of them and things like that, and anything you could use them for. Hey, Straw Dog, how you doing, John? Another New Englander here. Thanks for the birthday wishes. So we had this hole spray painted in the road, and we had a sign that said "Danger Hole" on a stick. We put the stick up just before the curve, and then we hauled probably 2 or 3 wagon, like a kid's wagon, like a radio flyer wagon. Seemed big at the time, but being kid sized, it probably wasn't that big. We hauled about 3 loads of gravel out there and put them on either side of our fake hole. And then we waited. We hid in the bushes there. It didn't occur to us that we could cause somebody to run out of the road. And luckily, we were on the low side of the curve. The first guy that came tearing through there was in probably about a 69 Camaro. Really nice looking car, or black over orange. probably a custom paint job. He came tearing around that curve, headed down to the lake. He saw our fake hole, the sign that said danger hole. He locked it up. And of course, he went off the high side of the curve just into some weeds there. But the part we hadn't counted on, this is Halloween night, he jumped out of his car with a baseball bat and started looking for us. And he was calling us every name in the book. And one man, we're just like in these bushes there. Just I don't know how he didn't see us, but we were experts at camouflage as children, especially on Halloween night. It was like a military operation. We dressed in all black, like a sweatshirt, black sweatpants, black watch cap, the charcoal or the coal makeup under your eyes, about black your eyes out. I even went so far as to take a pair of Chuck Taylor Converse and blacked out all the white on the soles and the eyelets and everything. Those are my stealth sneakers. So we're hiding down in the bushes on the low side of this curve. See, we didn't think it through. If we'd hit on the high side, he would have flattened us out. But this guy jumps out and he's swinging a baseball bat around and he's looking for us. I know you're out there. You come out and face the music. And literally, we were trying not to laugh. At the time, we thought it was the funniest thing ever. And I remember at one point, it was might have been a full moon, but the moon was bright that night anyway. The guy stood close enough that he was wearing, I guess it's like shiny leather cowboy boots or something. I could actually see the moon reflecting off his boots. He was that close. And I'm literally biting my hand to keep from laughing out loud. And eventually he gets in his car and drove on. But that's just one of the bits of Halloween mischief that I got into. And it worked a little too well. He saw the fake hole, the sign, locked it up, skidded through the gravel, and we didn't count on him going out of the road. Of course, it didn't do anything, just off in the edge of the road there, shoulder of the road. But that's just a little bit of Halloween mischief. Maybe I'll tell some more of those later. But great memories on Halloween, a frightening memory. I'm on with Shannon LeGros on her Halloween show. I don't know if she aired that tonight. And I told a story about same area, right in that same curve, where I saw a cigarette float by on Halloween. No person smoking it, but just the cigarette. And the ember would glow. It would light up. I could see the smoke coming off the cigarette. But whatever was inhaling it, it was a ghost or something. You couldn't see the smoke inside of it. And I watched it. It passed right by me. Just a cigarette. If it was a prank or somebody pulled a joke on me, it was the best engineered prank ever because I couldn't see anything. I saw it coming, probably a quarter mile away and watched it till it passed me and went on down toward the lake. And I thought about that. There was a lot of people perished down there in that water. Like I said, drinking and the lake don't mix. So be careful out there. But I'm thinking it was maybe somebody that met their demise down there at the lake and they were coming back to visit on Halloween and having a cigarette. That's the scariest, most unexplained thing I've ever seen on Halloween night. Now, I've had some scary experiences. Maybe I'll tell some of those later. See what Ramen Butterbear is saying. When I was 7 years old, I slept in a bunk bed at least 5 feet off the floor, reading a book, and a shadow appeared in the corner of my eye. I looked up from my page and screamed we'll see if he finishes his story here. Yes, Sarah Claire, I'm glad you're feeling better. Hope that pain subsides. And Prison Pixie, I saw red demon eyes right after my son was born in the middle of the night. Yeah, that's creepy. Anything with red eyes, you don't want to mess with it, especially if you don't know what it is or where it is. 98 of you listen tonight. Thanks for joining me. I figured either nobody would turn up or there'd be a crowd of you, but thanks for showing up. Got another story I'll tell. Same area where I grew up. There was a guy that lived upon the ridge behind us, kind of in the other direction. His name was Bill Raby. He's passed away now, so I don't have a problem saying his name. But of all things, he had a nickname, Punkin, like a pumpkin. Down south, they call it a pumpkin. But his name was Punkin Bill Rabbitt. I don't know where he got the nickname, but there was a tornado came through there sometime in the 50s and flattened a bunch of houses. And the night that his was one of them, and the night that his house blew away, these two ladies that weren't related, they saw that storm coming in. This always reminds me of something wicked this way comes. By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. It sounds like a scene out of that. But all the electricity was out, and the lightning was flashing, and it was lighting up the room. Well, one of the ladies said she was in there with her sister. They were small. They were sleeping in the same room together. And during one of the lightning flashes, she saw what looked like a spider web coming down from the ceiling. And she thought, that's not good. There's a spider in our room, just a thin tendril, like imagine a spider on a web and lighten it up. Well, when it touches the ground, the thing that looked like a spider web turned into the shape of a man, a shadow person, and it walked out through the wall just on the forefront of that storm. And it scared this lady. And she's like, I'm not going to say anything because my sister will be scared to death. She didn't know it, but the sister had observed it too. And about that time, the sister says, did you see that? What was that? She said, it came down from the ceiling, just like a strand, then turned into a shadow of a person and walked out through the wall. Something foretelling that storm, perhaps. I don't know. That's always a creepy story to me. Scary stuff. Now, that wasn't on Halloween. I think that was in the summertime when I heard lots of stories of when that tornado came through there. It flattened a bunch of houses. I want to say 1953, sometime in the 50s, before I was born. But now that would be frightening. Now, anybody here ever seen a shadow person? I've seen one. Nicole saw one. I'll tell that story some night. But house that I lived in Oregon, the lady's husband had passed away, and she claimed that if anything ever happened there, that he was just coming to say hi. But one night I was coming out of the bedroom and into the kitchen, and the way the kitchen was set up, you had a laundry room and a pantry, and then a dining table and an eating area. And then over here on this side was the sink and the stove and the refrigerator and all that. Well, I just walked in there. There was just a little night light plugged in and a shadow of a person. No person, just the shadow. Came into the room, out of the laundry room, passed through the dining area, into the kitchen, and out the wall behind the stove, which that wall, on the other side of that wall was the garage. And Mulder saw it. He was with me. He didn't bark, but he looked at it. He followed it with his eyes, and he was wagging his tail the whole time. And I told the lady that owned the house about it. She said, oh, that's my deceased husband. She said he comes by from time to time. When she lived there, he used to change the TV channel, turn the TV on in the middle of the night, start flicking through the channels. Or sometimes the stereo would come on, or the lights would come on, or you'd hear a cabinet door open and shut. So every house I've lived in was active to some degree. And I thought about that a few years ago, and I come to believe that it's not the houses so much, it's me that attracts those things. I think stuff like that's drawn to me. So any place I go is going to be haunted to some degree. I'm going to take just a little off-camera break here, play some spooky music, and then I'll read you a story. I need to take a drink of coffee. My throat's getting kind of dry, but here we go. Just a little spooky music. This is Ghost Story by Kevin MacLeod. I'll be right back. Thanks for being here. And we're back. Had to take a little off-camera break there and have a few sips of coffee, clear my throat a few times. You didn't want to hear me do that on the mic. Who else is here? That was the person that was telling the story. Did they put the rest of it in here? I was thinking. Okay, there's the first part of it. It's ramen, but I don't see the rest of the story. If you want to finish telling that story in the chat, I'll read it there. Oh, it's Corey Seals. I was riding my Harley through a graveyard, and I was wearing sunglasses. The inside of my glasses caught this child running next to me, and when I looked over, there was nothing there. Creepy. That's all the years when I missed my Harley. I had a Harley years ago. Was a daily rider for a long time, but I wouldn't ride one anymore. Too much at stake. Had too many close calls. It wasn't my abilities that I worried about. It was everybody else, people in cars not paying attention. Had a couple of close calls and parked it and then sold it. Let's see. Daniel Belcher, he said he attracts crazy people. Oh, the stories I could tell you, but that's not for a Halloween episode. Let me read another story here. Now, this was sent in by a friend of ours who's actually Nicole's friend and now my friend too. And this is her sister's experience. Let me go off camera because otherwise it's, for whatever reason, a lot of these apps and writing programs that don't have a dark mode, if it's already bad enough here in StreamYard because they don't have a dark mode, but if I open this up, it's going to wipe me out completely. So here we go. Here's another listener story. It just starts out telling the story here, so I'm going to go right into it as well. I bought this Ouija board when I was 19, so in the year of 2018. My friend and I saw it on Amazon for cheap and grabbed it because we were planning a trip to Centralia in Pennsylvania and thought we could use it there. Fast forward to about a week later, we end up in Centralia, and we are in the graveyard during sunset at the grave of a young girl named Jane. She was supposedly known as one of the first deaths there, and I believe her uncle dispatched her in the mines before the fires had started. We soon got a lot of activity asking if Jane was there. The Ouija board answered that it was Jane, and almost every question it either spelled Jane or pointed to the number 7 with both numbers or letters. We thought it was weird because we didn't understand that what 7 had to do with anything. This went on for almost an hour until we said goodbye and thought to try our spirit box. Excuse me. The spirit box then kept yelling out the same thing over again, and soon after went completely silent and wouldn't work again until we left the cemetery. We thought nothing of it and went back home to Massachusetts the next day. We wanted to try it again to see if it was real or if we were scaring ourselves, so we went to the graveyard that my grandmother was buried in and tried to reach her. We did not mention her name or anything, so nothing could try to trick us, and we got only the same answers of Jane and the number 7 again. We closed out the session and drove to the closest McDonald's because it was only a mile away and wanted to be somewhere where there was a lot of people. Curiosity kicked in, and my friend opened the box to make sure we put it away properly, and as she did that, my new 2016 Nissan Juke started to idle and the lights went crazy. To this day, until I traded in that car, my Juke would do that anytime it stopped, and it never did that before this day. We put it away and left it for a month or so in the trunk storage of my car. There's a place known as the Rocking Horse Grave in Massachusetts that we wanted to visit, and we have visited before. It's nothing scary. It's just people dropping off rocking horses, and the owner of the land moves them around in fun designs for a little girl that used to run a lemonade stand there. We have never had a scary experience here, but the Ouija board was still in my car. We went at night, so it was dark, and we both looked up and saw what we thought was a pole in the field until we saw it move. I moved closer to get a better look in case it was someone that needed help. As I got closer, it disappeared completely in front of me, and we got too spooked to stay there. The next day, I was at work at 4 a.m., and I left around 12 to find out my brake lines were sliced and I couldn't use them. I don't know if that was because I was in a bad area or the Ouija board, but it still made me aware. This was the last time we noticed anything for a couple of months. I soon quit that job and worked with my sister, but we carpooled because she had car issues, so I moved into her apartment with her boyfriend and her young daughter. I had to empty my car because I was trying to trade it in, so I brought everything into the apartment. I didn't end up trading in that car yet, but I forgot everything from the car and my room at my sister's for a while. Excuse me. After about 3 days of the board being in the apartment, there were problems with their Xbox turning on and making strange noises at 3 a.m. on the dot every day, even if it was unplugged. My sister had also taken a picture of my niece while home alone, and in the background caught something standing very strangely in the hutch reflection behind. There was no TV or other person around at that time. The Xbox stopped doing that the day I moved out and took the board with me. I moved into my own place within the next couple months and obviously brought the board with me. Within the very first night, my kitchen cabinets would open and slam shut by themselves every time I shut off the lights for bed. This went on for months until my friend wanted to borrow it because she was going back to Centralia with other friends. I stayed behind. I do not know her experiences with the board in Pennsylvania, but she came back a week later and one of our other friends came up to visit from Florida. He didn't believe this thing would cause this much destruction, so he wanted to try it in his hotel room. His hotel room was right next to a rock wall that was believed to have someone buried in it, so we thought it would be a good spot. We played and got something very cheerful at first until it started to spell out Jane and 7 again. Being curious, my friend broke out the spirit box again, while me and my Florida friend kept the board going. She was getting the exact same answers as we were. She put the spirit box away, and she put her hands back on the board, and it started to go crazy, going back and forth on the board. I know Zozo is the demon of the board, but that's all it was spelling, and I didn't believe it until that day. We quickly ended the session, and as we said goodbye, all the hangers in the closet went crazy, and my friend was too scared to stay there alone, so I spent the night, and we did not sleep at all that night. My sister was throwing a Halloween party this year in 2022. My friend had brought the board, and we thought it could be used as a prop, but we never touched the planchette to the board. It had been at my sister's house ever since, and nothing happened that night, but since that day, the new Xbox has been turning off and on again, and we've all seen things walking around the house. Things are happening to this day as we've opened the box for the first time since Halloween, and within minutes, my sister's bearded dragon's tank started to smoke from the lamp, and that has never happened in the years that they've had him. Another spooky tale sent in by a listener there. Thank you for that. Moonchild, how are you doing? Thanks for the birthday wishes. Gurfy, how are you doing? Similar, but a more dark, smoky Groot figure decades before Guardians of the Galaxy. Somebody else snuck in here behind me. Is this the rest of your story there, Robin? A monk in black looking down at me. I, screaming, jumped off the bunk and wouldn't enter that bedroom again. This is a real memory that I can't explain. Very, very frightening. You folks that have these stories, I'm just reading little bits and pieces of them in the chat here tonight, but send those to me. Steve Stockton Stories at gmail.com, and I'll narrate those in a future episode of Listener Stories. I love doing those. Let's see. Anybody else here that I haven't said hi to? Sue G. Gee, happy Halloween to you, and thanks for the birthday wishes. There's Cisco again. When the hangers go crazy, it's time to leave the room. Boris Karloff. Excuse me. Now, I had a similar experience in Las Vegas. House that I lived in there was built in the 1930s. And where it was, there was no strip in the 1930s. The strip didn't come about until the 40s when Bugsy Siegel opened the Flamingo there. But everything was down on Fremont Street in that area. Well, where this house was at, it was 2 or 3 miles from Fremont. So when it was built back in the 30s, it would have been out in the middle of nowhere. And I heard later on from people that had lived in that neighborhood, their family had been there for generations, that it was been everything. It had been a mob safe house. It had been headquarters for some sort of religious cult back in the 70s. There was all kinds of strange things that happened there. But I rented the bottom part of the house. It had a walkout basement. I had my photography studio down there. And in the room that I'd taken from my room, there was a little like alcove set in the wall, and there was a window in there. And then looked into the room where there was you could tell they'd had some kind of church services or something in there. It was a creepy place. But one night I was in that room, and I just laid down, turned the lights out, and something hit the floor. And I turned the lights on, and there was a built-in shelf unit in the wall. I think they'd had a TV or something there, the people before me. But I'd put a wooden dowel in there in 2 U-brackets, and that's where I hung my clothes. I worked at the casino in addition to having my own photography studio, so I had to wear nice clothes, suit jackets and slacks and stuff. Well, that rod had been lifted up out of those U's, and they were, just sitting in there, U-shaped hangers. But rod and all my clothes was in the floor. I thought, how's that even happen? So it was heavy with all those clothes on there. I picked it up, put it back in those U-brackets, turned out the lights. Again, my head hit the pillow, and I heard on the ground again. Turn on the light again. The rod is out of the U holders there. All my clothes in the floor. And I thought, okay, I've had enough. I went in the laundry room, utility room there. I had an electric drill, had a screwdriver attachment on it. I went back in the room, got that, came back in the room, and put long wood screw through each end of that dowel through the shelves where the U-brackets were holding it in there. So you couldn't lift that dowel out anymore. And went put the electric drill with the screwdriver attachment back up and said to the otherwise empty house, okay, now what are you going to do? Turn the lights out. And it showed me what it was going to do. I heard another noise. Turn the lights on again. The dowel is still in there where I screwed it into the shelving. But every single piece of clothing I had hanging up there, probably 10 jackets, 10 shirts, and 10 pairs of pants, something like that, was on the floor, just laid out in a row, but the rod was still there. So I said, okay, I get it. You don't want me to hang my clothes up there. So I carried them out, took 2 or 3 trips, carried them out to the laundry room and hung them out there. And laid down, went to sleep, and nothing else happened that night. But there was always something strange going on in that house. But true story. Whatever it was, it didn't like me having my clothes hung up there. But it didn't have a problem with it until that particular night. So who knows? And that wasn't on Halloween. That was in the summertime. Hey, Cisco, where you headed? Back over to your channel? Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that. I'll be finishing up here fairly shortly. And once we get done, we'll go over and see what you're doing if you're still over there. Again, I was upset because I couldn't be there last night. I had that hard drive issue. Again, if somebody wants to lend me a hard drive, an external hard drive until I can get everything going again, I would appreciate it. Steve Stockton, 81 at gmail.com. Here's another scary one. Suji said, at least she told another part of it here. Here we go. Let's tell the first part. I lived in a 100-year-old farmhouse that was haunted. I heard wire hangers clinking together in my closet. I figured it's a drafty old house. Then I remembered I don't own any wire hangers. That's a creepy story. Just short there, a few words, and what a story. In the same house, my nephew's bed lifted off the floor with him in it. Scared us all so bad, we slept together on the living room floor. And Go Navy's got a story here. When we were younger, in our late teens, early 20s, we used to go to Halloween to the cemetery where Night of the Living Dead was filmed and try scaring the girls outside of Evans City. I'm not sure where Evans City is, but that'd be a creepy place. The original Night of the Living Dead. So G says she knows a guy that was an extra in Night of the Living Dead. The clothes are in the skeletons in the closets way. Good one there for those moments. How you doing, buddy? How's your part of the Smokies? Cold up there? Hey, Carla Washington, welcome in. Happy Halloween. Hope you're having a good one. Okay, I'm going to take another little camera break, play that spooky music again, and let me see if I can rouse Mulder up here. And if not, I've got a longer story that I'm going to read to you. And I'll be right back after this. Stick around. And we're back. 112 of you watching. Thanks. Got something. I originally wrote this. I was going to read it on my radio show on Sunday nights, but I didn't get around to it. Terry Brown and I had such a good time talking over there that I didn't get to do anything. I'm a poet and didn't know it. I like to write poetry. I mostly write stuff for Nicole, and she likes it. So that's all that matters. It's a lot of poems and stuff, but I've done other stuff too. But this is what I wrote for Halloween night. It was going to air on my radio show this last Sunday, but I didn't get around to it. Let me turn the camera off here. Don't wipe my face out. There we go. And it's untitled. It's just a Halloween poem by Steve Stockton. In shadows deep, where moonlight fades, where eerie whispers dance and pervade, I bring to you a tale of fright to chill your bones on this haunted night. Beware the creaking ancient door as it opens wide with a dreadful roar, a pathway to a realm unknown where spirits wander, lost and alone. Through misty graves where tombstones leer and specters rise with dreadful cheer, the wind howls with a mournful cry as darkness reigns beneath the sky. In ghostly woods where branches sway, their gnarled fingers beckon and sway. The moon, a pale and ghastly face, watches over this desolate place. Listen closely to the whispers hiss as they tell of souls that cease to exist. Their haunting tales of woe and despair echo through the chilling, haunted air. The midnight hour is drawing near when the veil is thin and spirits appear. Ghosts and ghouls, they gather near to fill your heart with chilling fear. So gather round, my dear brave souls, as fear and terror take their tolls. For on this night of Halloween, the darkest secrets shall be seen. But heed my warning, lest you dare to venture into this wicked lair. For once you step beyond the light, you may be lost in eternal night. Yeah, not much of a poet, but that's the best I can do. I gave it up years ago, but Nicole has me and inspired to write poetry again. And occasionally I branch out and stuff that's not a love poem. Let's see what Shasta Valley Outdoorsman say. I've got a heavy bag I used to think was haunted. It almost always looked like someone standing there out of the corner of my eye. No other bag did. Weird faces have formed in the dust on it. Dang thing come from overseas. I'm always scared there might be a skeleton in it or something. Have you ever done that? You like your classic, your clothes are piled on a chair and you walk in the dark and you think it's somebody sitting there. I've had that happen. I had a hoodie hanging on a bedpost one time, and that place I lived at, my apartment that I was renting was below street level, but you could see in the windows down into my room from the sidewalk. And I was walking by and I saw that hoodie and I thought there was somebody standing in my room. And then I stood there for several minutes watching to see if it moved. I know that's my hoodie, but what if it moves? Then what am I going to do? It didn't. Now, another Halloween prank I want to tell you about. When I was 15 years old or so, we'd moved into a brand new house my parents had built in the Carnes community where I went to high school. And this new house that was a split foyer. Upstairs there was a bathroom, 2 bedrooms, and a den, and then of course the living room and the kitchen and the kitchen and dining room were together. It's like an open floor plan. Well, it had sliding glass doors. That first place I'd ever lived that had sliding glass doors, and my mom had put curtains over the sliding glass doors. It was this was it was the late 70s, but it had a very early 70s look to it. She liked those earth tones. Anybody remember when in the 70s there was like burnt orange and a burnt yellow and kind of a avocado green? I think it was some of the, you can Google that and see what those colors looked like. There were people that had their whole kitchens done up like that. But she had these burnt yellow curtains over the sliding glass door. And I thought it'd be a good idea to take a pair of my boots. I had engineer boots, they're motorcycle boots. And I put that pair of boots behind the curtain like somebody had come through the sliding glass door and was standing behind the curtain. And I just left them there. And I went in the other room of the house. My mom was in the kitchen getting ready to fix supper. And she had a big plastic salad bowl. I don't think she was going to make salad in it, but she was going to do something with it. And I heard a shriek like a banshee, and I heard that salad bowl bounce around a few times on the floor. My mom came in, and she was quite surprised by a pair of boots toes sticking out from under the sliding glass door. And I got in trouble for that one. I knew better, but it's still funny. She laughed about it later, but much, much later. But did another thing like that once. My brother was a minister and had a church. And up at the church office, which was on the hill up behind the church, they had men's and women's bathrooms in there. There was a big area behind it where they had special events and potluck suppers and things like that. So there was restrooms up there. I went in the men's room and in one of the stalls, put a pair of tall boots in there, So if you walked in, the lights would automatically come on, and all you saw was this pair of boots in the toilet stall. Scared a few people with those. So I'm not trying to give anybody ideas, but some of the stuff I used to do. My mom, that was around Halloween. My brother, I don't remember what time of year that was. Carla Washington, she's lurking and listening. She's right here on the couch beside me. But thanks for joining us tonight. Who else there? David Martin wishes everybody a happy Halloween. Callie Snyder, all the way from Hawaii. I got your message earlier on Facebook, sir. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Julie Van D, happy Halloween to you and hello, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Sweetly Morbid Bear, you were the first one here today. You were here at like 1:02 p.m. and left a message. Oh, Sarah Claire, I was a little terror. You have no idea. I deserved every whipping I ever got and a lot that I didn't get. Trust me on that one. Some night I'll tell more glorious tales of a misspent youth. Rhythm and Style, how you doing? Oh, thank you. Camping trips around a campfire, I do like to tell stories in that kind of situation. Dino Bravo fan. Whoops, hit the wrong one. Bravo, somewhere in the morning. Just waiting for something to get real. Happy Hell's Night from Prince Edward Island, Canada. Dan Johnston in the house. Johnson, how you doing? Put roadkill my butt first in the mailboxes and shut the door. That's not very pleasant now, is it? Hey, Truth Proof. How you doing? Is that you, Paul and Les? That's the Truth Proof team, as far as I know. I was on their show over there a few nights ago. Go check that out. Just search on Truth Proof here in YouTube, and you see the show I did over there with Paul Sinclair and Les. Had a good time over there. And Sunday night, I think it was Sunday. It all runs together after a while. I was on with Midwest Night Watchers. Their show, Piercing the Veil. I had a good time over there, told some spooky stories and stuff. Is anybody else here that I haven't said hi to? If I didn't say hi to you, I didn't slight you on purpose. There's Megan. Hey, thanks for the birthday wishes. Okay, going to take another short little break here. Let you watch a spooky background, listen to Ghost Story by Kevin MacLeod. It's music. And then I've got a longer story I'm going to read for you. And then we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for joining me. I'll be right back. And we're back once again. Hope everybody's having a wonderful and happy Halloween. Thank you, Becky Green, for the birthday wishes and for the Halloween wishes, too. The Carla, the Black Eyed Kids, the version of it from the Belief Hole is on this channel. That one takes about, to tell it right, it takes about 20 or 25 minutes. And I've got a little bit shorter version that's here on this channel, the one I told on Belief Hole. Yeah, I don't really want to tell that one tonight. I'm already run longer than I meant to here. It's 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. And just as I looked at it, I was quite the little troublemaker. I was into mischief. I just had to make my own fun. I was raised as an only. My brother was 17 years older than I am. He was my only sibling. So I was raised an only and had to make my own fun. We lived out in the country on a 26-acre farm. I wasn't even around other kids until I started kindergarten and met some interesting kids there. Remember anybody ever read Goofus and Gallant in Highlights for Children? I ran across a kid named Perry that was the real life Goofus. I'll tell you some stories about him sometime. He was a terror. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read this one. It's kind of long. Now, this was written, I think, around 1904 by a gentleman from Scotland. And it's one of my favorite stories. I've read this every Halloween that I've had a live stream. The first time I ever told this one, I did a memorized version of it. I'm just going to read it to you tonight. Hey, Chiro Sounds, how you doing? She's also Midwest Night Watchers. I enjoyed being on your guys' show Sunday night. Thanks for having me. I haven't seen Gerald in here yet, but hopefully he'll be around. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and read this story. This one's a little bit longer, and it's just a myth or a fable or whatever, but it's a spooky story. First story I ever narrated at my 10th birthday party cookout and bonfire on Halloween night in 1973. Here we go. I'm going to turn the camera off. Basically, so you don't see my face whited out. Let me pull it up here. I had it open. It's written by a man named John Duncan from Edinburgh, Scotland. And I believe the copy I have of it came from a newsletter for teachers that was published in 1904. So I'm guessing he wrote it before that. But it's one of my favorite creepy Halloween stories. It's called The Woodman and the Goblins. Once upon a time, a woodman lived in the heart of a very thick wood. I don't know where the wood was, Scotland maybe, or Germany, because there are not very many thick woods left in Scotland. And this woodman lived all by himself. He did not have any wife to look after him or any kids to look after. But he was a clever old fellow and managed things somehow. He built his own house and did his own cooking and mended his own clothes and did all the washing that he considered quite necessary. It wasn't a very nice house, not very clean, not very tidy. He thought that things were tidy enough when they were around where they would be handy, and he had sometimes to look about a long while when he wanted a new dish rag. And when anything got lost, he had nobody to blame but himself. Shall I tell you what he was like? He was a little stumpy fellow, rather fat, like Santa Claus, and rather good-natured, though not altogether so good-natured as Santa Claus. And he didn't have bright red clothes, white fur, or have white hair and a red face. His hair was gray, his face was the color of old furniture, and his clothes were made of brown leather, with skewer things here and there for buttons. It's a hard thing to sew buttons on leather, and now and again a bit of string does about as well. Well, one afternoon, he suddenly remembered that he had to go to the village, which was miles and miles away, to get a new axe. His old one was of no use. He had sharpened it so often that there was very little of it left, and he had work to do the next day and needed the axe badly. So, though it was getting latish, and it would be dark before he could get back, and the wood was dark early. You know how woods are always dark early, and where the trees grow thick. It's sometimes dark there all the time. He started off. He found his way to the village all right, got the axe, and set out on his way home again. He didn't bother about it getting dark. At any rate, he didn't bother much. He knew the way well enough and would have told you that he could find his way home with his eyes shut. He didn't think much about it. He was thinking about something quite different. He was thinking about some bogey stories that some silly folks up the village were telling. and looking up suddenly, he discovered that he didn't know where he was. The road looked different somehow. He couldn't remember ever having been there before. It was the thickest part of the wood he had ever been in. The trees grew very, very close together, so close that he could hardly squeeze through. When he was looking about to try to find the path, it was so dark he could hardly see at all. He had to feel about with his hands. In a little hollow place in the roots of a huge beech tree, he came upon 6 big eggs. Now, he was not hunting for eggs, but these were so big and strange looking, as far as he could see, that they excited his curiosity. He thought to himself, I'll take them home and hatch them out and see what kind of a strange fowl will come out of them. If I can get hens that lay thumping big eggs like that every day, I won't have far to look for a breakfast. So he took them up and started to look for the road again. He found it after a bit of trouble and got home safe and sound without meeting any other adventure. When he got into the house, he looked at the eggs again and thought what a splendid omelet they would make. He was very hungry after being in the woods so long. Then he thought it would be a pity not to hatch one and get a hen that would lay more eggs like these. Then he was afraid that the one he saved might be a bad one and not hatch at all. Then he talked the matter over with himself and decided reluctantly, he was very hungry, to hatch them all out just to be on the safe side. How was he to hatch them? He couldn't stay in bed for 3 weeks. That was out of the question. He was afraid to trust the cat, and the cat wouldn't do it if he asked her. And besides, she was not big enough. He thought of a piece of red flannel that he had thought to make shirts of, and he cut it up and wrapped the eggs each in a piece and set them around the fire. And for 3 weeks, he kept that fire going at not too fierce a heat, and never letting it go out either day or night. It was a great responsibility, but if one wants something, one must work for it, and he wanted hens. The day came at last when the eggs showed signs of life. They moved a little, just a teeny little bit. He had to look very close to be quite sure. And at last one began to chip, and another began to chip. One of the cracks opened, and out came, not a chicken's head as he expected, but a fist, a little squirming hand, something like a baby's hand, only smaller and dark in color, almost black, a kind of purpley color. And soon there was a cracking and a squealing and a squirming, and out of one egg bobbed a head, and out of another a foot, and after the hands and heads and legs the bodies came wiggling, and 6 of the strangest looking imps that you could imagine were soon sprawling on the floor. Did you ever see little puppies when they're just newly born? The funny way they stretch their necks about and tumble over one another? Well, these goblins behaved like that. The man didn't know what to think or say or do. He stood scratching his head and staring. He never had any family before, and he didn't have any neighbors to give him any advice on what to do now. The poor things looked cold. They didn't have any clothes on. They hatched out of the eggs without any clothes, of course. They looked blue, and he looked blue. Do you know what he did? He just snipped a little round hole out of each piece of flannel that the eggs had been wrapped in, and he put them over the little shivering bodies with their heads sticking out of the holes. It was funny, but he didn't laugh. It is a serious matter to get a big family like that so suddenly, and especially when you don't expect it. Then he had to feed them. I don't know how he did it. He didn't have any feeding bottles. I suppose maybe he dipped bits of flannel into the milk and let them suck the flannel. They weren't old enough for a few days to manage to suck it through straws, but that's what they did later on when they could help themselves. I can't tell you all the trouble he had with them or what he did when they were sick. They were often sick because they ate and ate all day and every day and didn't know when to stop. All this kept the poor old man very busy, and the goblin babies were a great anxiety to him. Sometimes he was so tired of it all, he thought of running away and leaving them all together. But he always consoled himself with one thought. When they grow up, they can work for me. If I work for them so hard now, they will surely do things for me by and by. He imagined them running his errands to the village and cooking the food, tidying up the house, chopping the firewood, even going down to the spring for drinking water. But as they got older, instead of helping him, they hindered him more and more. Nothing to help and everything to hinder seemed to be the rule of their life. They were terribly full of mischief. They didn't laugh or talk much, but they were always busy doing something they ought not to do. The house was nearly set afire more than once by their tricks, but I'd better not tell you the kinds of pranks they played, lest it should put naughty ideas in your head. The poor man was often nearly out of his wits with their wickedness, and when he was angry, he would almost have murdered them when they did something especially atrocious. At last he could bear it no longer and decided that he must do something to get finally rid of them. Now, they were so lively and full of sin all day long. Whenever the candle was lit in the evening, though, a strange change came over them. They all became quiet at once. They stopped whatever they were doing, putting walnut shells on the cat's feet or spreading sticky stuff in the old man's books, whatever they were doing indeed, and gathered in around the table and leaned their elbows on it with their chins in their hands and stood staring at the candle with eyes like the letter O with a little dot in the middle. So one night, when the candle was lit, an idea came into the woodsman's head. He thought, I know what I'll do. I'll take them back to the place where I got the eggs. If I put the candle in the lantern, they'll follow the light, and I will take them to the beech tree and leave them there, and some of their own people will be sure to find them. So he took the candle and put it into the lantern, and all the goblins crowded around to see him do it. As they chatted among themselves like bats, without taking their eyes off the candle even long enough to wink. They didn't wink. They just stared and stared and stared till the old woodman felt himself staring too, but in sympathy. But he was desperate and made for the door and passed out into the night. They all came stumbling after, without looking at their feet or where they were glowing, their eyes glued to the light. Sometimes one fell, but got up in a moment and went bumping into his neighbor as before. On the strange procession moved through the dark woods, and the maddest shadows and the wildest lights danced around their path. If they hadn't been goblins, they would have been scared out of their wits. There was no sound but the crackling twigs under their feet, or the dull thud when one tumbled down for a moment over a root or stone. The woodman found the beech tree and recognized it again by its odd shape. He hung the lantern on a broken branch, and after seeing that it was secure, he turned to go home. But it was one thing to come through the woods with a lantern, and another to go through these tangled paths in the dark. When he turned, he could see nothing. Total darkness. He looked back at the light. The goblins had squatted down on the ground in a circle and sat staring up at the lantern. He turned away again and went groping forward like a blind man. Branches struck him sharply in the face. He hurt his hand on a branch that broke as he thrust it aside. He slipped on a bit of wet ground and fell to the earth. He got up on his knees and crawled forward a little farther, and something clutched him by the belt. He got a terrible fright, thinking it was some monster. But when he felt it over, he found it was only a big fallen branch that had caught his belt buckle. He lay and sweated with fear. Then he sat up and turned to the light again. It had a strange, home-like feeling about it. His anger against the goblins had given place to his terror of the woods. The little homely faces, all so quiet now, attracted him in spite of himself. And the light seized him more and more, and though he struggled for a time against the magic of it, he gave up at last and crept back to the little group he had left. He took a place in the circle, forgetting everything, and filled with a great hunger for the light of the lantern. The spell had come upon him too, and some say to this day, somewhere in those dark woods, the little group, including the woodsman, still sits and stares at the lantern. Well, there you go. The creepy tale of the woodsman and the goblins. Got a special guest here with me that just happened to pop in. Gerald from Midwest Night Watchers. Come on in, buddy. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. Happy birthday.
Thank
and
you.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween to you and Jane as well. Good to see you. I appreciate you having me over on your show Sunday night. Thanks for stopping by tonight.
Yeah, that was a great show. Great stories. Just perfect for Halloween time, the perfect season for scary stories. And we just appreciate you spending time with us at night. So I wanted to come in and wish you
had
a
a good time
special
over there.
happy
That
birthday.
hour and a half flew by. Like everybody to go check him out. One of you mods, if you would drop a link to Midwest Night Watchers channel, please do. Go there and subscribe, check them out. They have a lot of good guests.
Don't forget my wife, Chiro Sounds. She's got her YouTube channel also.
Yeah, go check her out. I listened to the one that you sent me the other day where she was
pop in.
She had the crickets in the background and she was playing the handpan. That was beautiful. Yep. I love that type of music. That's very similar to Kevin MacLeod's got one handpan like that called Night Music that I use in a lot of videos because I like the way it sounds.
Yeah, we had Cindy Goodbreak stay the night last night. She was in Illinois visiting family. She wanted to come spend time with us. She was another guest on one of our shows, and we went out in the backyard and did some Indian Native American drums and flutes, and did a little celebration in the moonlight last night to see if anything would happen. But we heard a few strange sounds and a little things in the night sky, but that was about it. We didn't get any on film though, but we just wanted to go out there and put our presence out in the night.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to do it. You got to go out there in the dark and reconnect with all the wonderful things out there. Nicole and I both love the dark, love the moonlight, and just getting in touch with the earth and whatever's out there.
Yep. So I just wanted to pop in and say happy birthday to you and say hi to your audience out there. And
I appreciate that. Go check them out, Midwest Night Watchers, and Jane's channel, Chiro Sounds. She makes some great music over there. Go check it out. And Joanne Yoda Girl's dropping some links there. Well, thanks, Gerald. I appreciate that, buddy. And I'll see you again real soon. Happy Halloween to you and the missus.
All right. Happy Halloween.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Well, surprise guest there. I'd ask some more to pop in, but so far, Midwest Night Watchers was the only one. But glad he stopped by. I'm going to go ahead and wind it up here, folks. Wrap it up here, rather. About an hour and a half in, but thank you for being here for mine and Mulder's birthday. Thank you for all the birthday wishes, and thank you for all the happy Halloween wishes, the Samhain wishes. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, go sign up for my blog. If you do one of the paid subscriptions, I'll send you ebook copies of my books. Or if you want signed, personalized copies of my books, go to my Etsy shop. Our Etsy shop. My Nicole run that together. We also have some candles and soy wax melts over there that look so incredibly amazing. Those are made by our friends at Smooth Sense Co. So check on the link there. Got a sale running on my books. It's a Halloween birthday sale through tomorrow. I think it is 25% off. You can actually buy signed, personalized copies of my books cheaper than you can get them on Amazon. That's Strange Things in the Woods. That one's been back at #1 several times this month. My Strange World, which is autobiographical, that's some of my own personal experiences. Some of the ones you've heard me talk about here tonight are in there. And National Park Mysteries and Disappearances, Volume 1, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now, it has some missing people in there, but it also has Cherokee legends, ghost stories, a little bit of everything. There's some good reading in there. Smoky is my favorite place in the world, one of my favorite places. Now I'm happier here in New England. Hey, Judy, how are you doing? She's using Richard's account there, but I know it was you. Thanks for stopping by. But thanks again, everybody. I hope you had a safe and happy Halloween. It's going to be over soon here on the East Coast, about 2.5 more hours. So trick or treat while you can. Most places they stopped at 8 o'clock, I think. So West Coast people, you've got another hour and a half to trick or treat. But be careful. Stay safe out there. Check all your candy carefully. Don't eat anything that isn't wrapped up or that looks like it's been messed with. And any kids, please have an adult check your candy. Hey, D-Rock, how you doing? Thank you for the birthday wishes, baby. Baby, I was reading something else here. Didn't mean to call you baby. Thank you for the birthday wishes, buddy. Does that sound better? Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and close it off here. Scott, I'm just still working on the one about my grandmother. That'll be coming soon. I'm trying to figure out. I'm working on an outline for it, and there's so much different stuff in there: myths, legends, folklore, superstition. I may even stick a few of her recipes in there. But thanks again, everybody, for being here. Go check out our latest videos. I had the Halloween disappearances. Nicole did such a wonderful job on that one, and all of them are good. Go check them out. But have a great night, everybody, and a happy and safe Halloween. And I'll see you Wednesday for Wednesday morning for Coffee with Steve. And then I'll be live again on Friday for the current missing person cases. Again, thanks, everybody. God bless each and every one of you. Have a good night. I'll see you a little farther on down the trail. Tell your animals I said hi. Happy Halloween, everybody. Good night.